Alex, Monica, hi, good to see you. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. Nice to see you too.
Should we
It's a
even
pleasure to be here.
Absolutely, same here. Should I start with a question? Are you tired, or how busy are you today? As we're gonna tackle the topic of busyness and maybe even business paradox in our daily realities. But I'm happy to hear that you're good, and we're happy to have this conversation with you on, I think, such a relevant topic for all of us across industries, across roles, such a universal problem: busyness.
And there is still daylight at the other end of the optical fiber. We can see your midday through the day.
Yes,
Yes,
we're getting some
it's
light
true.
from you. I know, Monica, you're connecting from Romania.
I still have to say, yeah, I am in Romania, in Bucharest. So I am 1 hour ahead of you. So soon it will be evening.
Always
It
better
will
to be
get
ahead
dark.
than behind.
Yes, yeah, it's true. So to align to the topic of the conversation, I only had a snack for lunch. I am ashamed to admit that
We're the same,
because
Monica. We're sharing same pain,
well,
possibly.
we should talk about that and how to improve in this in this respect.
Exactly, and does it cause any risk when we even think about DEI starvation or DEI diet? So maybe
I
missing out on a snack is not such a big issue, but if you're missing out on with a proper meal, proper dinner, proper lunch, maybe that can create some problems.
Yeah, but it's all about discipline and awareness, right? As in your private life and related to D&I as well, because I think that you can also have a very healthy lunch in 15 minutes if you put your mind to it. You don't need a lot of time to dedicate to it. I mean, yes, the goal is to reach a fancy lunch at a good restaurant where you spend 2 hours, but it's not probably realistic in our busy days. But it's the same with D&I. You can, use small periods of times to dedicate to diversity and inclusion, to understand, to take a step back, reflect. It's not really a time consuming activity. So we can find a balance here. And I'm sure Alex can add more to this.
Yeah, so interesting that you mentioned it, Monica, and maybe we can do this transition over to Alex. How do we even perceive D&I in our organizations? Is it something additional, something that we need to... I'm getting a message that Alex has just disconnected.
Yes,
So back to you, Monica, with this question.
Yeah.
How are we positioning DI, or how you're positioning DI in your organization, or what's the perception of it?
So I think that when we started like 3 years ago, it was something additional because it was the time to create the awareness, as I said, to reflect a bit. So it was something that we needed to do extra in addition to our usual way of working. But in time, I think that we embedded this in our daily work. And I think that this is really the target to practice and demonstrate D&I without even thinking of it, internalizing it so much that you don't have to dedicate something special time, special attention to it, and just live by the values of D&I and work by those values. So right now, I don't see it as an additional task anymore. The fact that I meet with the global team that I work with, as I'm leading the global D&I program in Luxoft, it's really a very pleasant time. We discuss a lot of things. We plan a lot of events. We discuss about new learning programs, and it's really satisfying, yeah, and rewarding.
That's fantastic to hear, and it's fantastic to hear that the shift has happened. I'm really tempted to ask what really created this shift. Like, if we're trying to help our audience to move the needle from, kind of effort, extra job, extra work towards something more natural, almost instinctive, like just enjoying your lunch. What really made this shift from your perspective? If we take the macro organizational level?
So I think that we are taking the macro organizational level, but we have to start with ourselves. So we are all diverse, and in the past years, diversity even has new faces because of the post-pandemic era and the way we work today. We have other focus areas in diversity and inclusion as well that were added to the previous ones. And there are so many characteristics that make us diverse. I think that we have to start with us, as I said. Take a step back, reflect on our actions, on how we impact the others, how we communicate with the others, how we would like to be treated as well, and how we would like to work with the team. An interesting fact is that even today, when we run surveys, it turns out that the team is the most important in the organization, the team and the manager. So we can act at this micro level to create the macro impact in the organization. And of course, this means educating the managers and again, making them aware of what D&I means, what inclusive leadership is. Not teaching them, but showing them how to practice inclusivity when they work with their team. Make it on purpose at first, and then just do it because it's natural to do it like this. So it was a long journey, and we still have people in the organization that say, I would love to participate, but I don't have the time. I need to deliver. So when am I going to do it? So we try to attract them. We try to find reasons for celebrating each month, to create events and different webinars and competitions so that people become aware first and then decide that, it's worth it. It's not that complicated. It's not something that I need to dedicate a long time for. So it's something that I can learn step by step. Another thing that we did, we developed a series of e-learning materials, so it doesn't have to be like a 5 days training to understand what unconscious bias is, what means inclusive leadership. And we designed them to cover the entire life cycle of an employee so that the managers can use small modules that can last an hour to understand how they can make recruitment more diverse, how they can make onboarding more inclusive, how they can give feedback in a way that is inclusive as well. And I think that one of my favorite now is how we communicate, because we are a global company. We have people that work from home, from the office. We have managers that have teams across different geographies and cultures. So it's really important to understand how to communicate in a way that is respectful and touches everybody, but also to understand each of our team members' particular characteristics. And we introduced, and Luxsoft in Poland started this group for working parents, and this is something I think that is really important. It's something probably newer, single mothers, single parents, working parents, because we have now to adjust our working time so that we accommodate also the dedicated time for our children. And we are trying to look at this very, very carefully, because we are a young company. And another thing that is important, I think, it's in our organization, we have 3 generations working at the same time. And I think this is happening in many organizations currently. And this is something, again, that we are looking at.
Okay.
But we start with the team. The team is the core. I think that the managers understanding their team, working in an inclusive way with the team is the key here. And as I said, it doesn't require a lot of time. We have recipes for fast track learning. And we have a way of recognizing and rewarding those that get more involved and demonstrate more dedication to this, and that's the way we attract people.
Okay.
But still, we have a long way to go. Still, people are still some of them don't have the time, but
Yeah, and that's fair to
yeah,
say.
we are
Some of them don't have time, and there's actually a very valid question on this lovely combination of time and money. Maybe we will come back in a second, but not everyone has time, obviously, or struggles with time. And let's be also real, acknowledging that not everyone in the organization is convinced about this perception of D&I being something, intuitive or
And you constantly
neutral.
dismiss all those people, saying they are always wrong. Okay?
Yes.
So understanding is listening to your organization. And sometimes employees in organizations feel that what is expected of them is volunteering, coming up with initiatives. But when you look at the actual organization's effort in budget terms, in project management terms, they see, okay, expectation is there and we contribute through volunteering, but there is no actual financial structure to support all of the efforts, right?
Yes, and good that you have brought that up, Łukasz, because we have good also, I think, for you, Maria, to share, good examples and strategies. A question around budget specifically, and I think it's valid. We have someone in the audience asking, what about the budget on D&I activities? Are they really allocated? Is it even important to have a dedicated D&I budget? And how are we rewarding financially our D&I ambassadors, volunteers, anybody in the organization who's actively contributing to the D&I agenda? And we have Alex is back.
is back. Yes,
I think I'm back. I hope. Am I?
Please stay with us.
Okay, so what an instinct as we're talking about time and money, and you're more welcome to contribute, Alex. So how is this D&I budgeting looks like in your organizations, and does it matter at all in the context of the conversation?
I think it does matter. Obviously, we need to be smart with money. We need to be smart with how we ask for it and build the right business cases. Usually, there is money to be found if we're smart about it. And it's good to show that for a company to have enough of it to do certain initiatives and events and be visible in doing those things. So yes, I think it is important, but it doesn't have to be crazy numbers, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And as you said, you need to be smart about it.
A way of rewarding the volunteers is that they learn a lot by making them lead certain initiatives and training them on how to lead them. This is a very important part in their career development because it's actually project management. So it's something that it's also it's a gain for them if they participate. Of course, that budgets are needed for trainings that are not designed inside the organization. If you want to train your managers and the employees, if you want to organize webinars, but as Alex said, we can be very smart about this.
How to do it? How to be smart about it? How to communicate in a smart way about it? Money can go into different corners of our organization. How to make sure that it's secured for the D&I?
So that's where you need to have a strong network. You need to cultivate that network, right? And you need to make sure that you're supporting those volunteers on the ground that want to do things to the people who have the influence to sponsor and find that money. That's very important that you have a strong support from the leadership team in that sense. It's making that network of people available to those volunteers that will actually get stuff done.
Ironically, every organization has its own power games and influence games, so to say, and you need to understand that environment, I suppose.
And there's so many needs to cover, so obviously the money needs to be distributed wisely and, like you say, in a smart way. Okay, I think we still have somebody persistent, which is good, in our audience, asking both of you to give us some practical advice. How can I, as an employee, living my super busy schedule, my super busy life, how can I incorporate D&I actions into my day? Can we get some maybe personal advice from you to the audience?
So for me, I think it's very important that you feel you're empowered by your direct manager to spend a bit of time on this. Just like you should feel empowered to spend a bit of time on your own learning and well-being and work-life balance, being empowered to volunteer and be part of these ERGs and do initiatives and attend things should be something that's a very clear message from your direct line manager. I think that's a good place to start. And if you're doing more than just attending, you're actually maybe running an event or being more involved, then have that added as an objective to your end of year reviews and performance management so that it's recognized and you get points towards it and recognition. I think that's one of the key things. And if you're not getting that direct support from a direct manager, maybe look wider at the wider maybe management team in the organization you work for. Look for some sponsors there who will help raise your visibility and empower you and your teams around you to do more of those things.
So you need maybe that should be your investment, your personal investment to find to use your smart ways and to actually team up with someone who can help you and like think more strategically or tactically about your D&I agenda. And there are plenty of options.
Yes.
Within the team.
And there's one other thing I'd add. There's a number of things we have routines around, town halls or team events or lunches or things that are already part of our workday, right? Sometimes you can be smart about leveraging those to both include maybe a D&I ERG with a project presentation you're doing or something, on a topic that's technology related or something. It could be try and do something that includes and goes across different ERGs, goes across project, goes across different learning experiences, because then you can be smarter with your time. You can get the points for doing a presentation on a technology or a project. You can also get the points for having included your balance network and all the particularly all the women leads. Fantastic, right?
Now that we have heard the word smart from Monica and Alexandra a couple of times, I suppose we're back to the key word here, relatability. Make it relatable. In other words, make your employees actually care about it in a natural, not forced way. And then money no longer become an issue because you have the power of the community, the power of your team to push it through the organization. And it does work if your ideas are compelling for the organization and if they create a sense of meaning that even if it's my extra time that I need to commit, free of charge, then I will because I do believe in that.
Yes.
So the motivation part is hugely important. That's what we understand by SMART, don't we?
Yes, this is true. Actually, I think that at the organizational level, we just create a sketch of the strategy, and it's actually the employees that are pushing forward the D&I agenda. Because for any focus area that we define, we can find a group of volunteers and enthusiastic people that want to push it forward. Yeah, and if we have the time to discuss with them to understand what their needs and plans are and give the support, then it's really not a matter of big time dedicated to that. It's actually something that, as you said, they are doing for themselves. They believe in it and they will push it forward. So it's really like a well-oiled wheel that is running forward.
Monica, you've almost predicted the question that just arrived.
I can see.
Oh, really?
I can see.
How to get more employees to want to volunteer to attend DEI in-house trainings without making it mandatory. It's fair to say if something is mandatory, we are negative about it usually because that's the first impulse. So how to create the storytelling in a way that it's compelling, organically, so to say. People want to be part of it.
So for me personally, I try to, at every opportunity when I'm addressing my teams or at events, I try to speak to personal stories to help educate and raise awareness around importance of diversity and inclusion, and then reference the fact that I'll be joining this conference today, and maybe there's a local ERG event happening that I'll be going to. Come along, and if you have that kind of messaging and you're regularly saying those things to your teams, it's easier then to tell them, oh, and here's this interesting, pride allyship training you maybe do, or any other D&I related topic on awareness that's important. They're more likely to listen and to do it. And you start by saying, oh, I've just done it. It's quite good. I've learned something, and there's an expectation because you've led by example that they should follow. And you make that clear that, you'd expect that to them to role model that to their teams below them too. I think that's the only way that does work. It's not easy though, because it means everybody from the top, and going down the areas of management need to try and role model and have that kind of messaging just in their day-to-day conversations.
Fair enough, Alexandra. Thank you very much. Basha, will you allow me to close on a positive note here? Because,
Did you assume that I'm going to end up on a negative note?
I don't know. I didn't assume anything. This is not a place where I want to assume anything.
Okay.
I want to explore and look into issues instead of assuming anything. Assuming anything is a bias. So essentially, thank you, Alexandra, and thank you, Monica, because speaking of motivation, I think Monica Laxoft has been with us since 2016, the very beginnings of this conference. So I should hope, we are creating enough motivation as an event format itself.
That's how I would read it. Hopefully Monica will agree.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yes, of course.
Well, under so much pressure, who wouldn't agree, Basha? Thank you again. Thank you for joining us
Thank
today.
you so much
All the
for
best.
sharing your stories and emphasizing the importance of role modeling as a leader. So I think that's highly important. Thank you so much, and good luck with your agenda and.
Thank you.
And not only.
Yeah, and we're back with our audience.
Thanks for the invite.
Thank you.
Thanks for the
Great
invite.
conversation.
Have a great rest of the day.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
And we are back in a few seconds.